Hello, I am Nova StarCraft, and welcome to a beginner's guide to StarCraft 2 strategy. So, why am I looking at the lobby to a custom game? Well, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you a game against the AI, which I'm going to be playing, and it's going to be a Protoss versus a Protoss match, and this is one of the most simple matchups that I can think of. It's very black and white, which sort of build beats the other sort of build being the strategy that the player decides to choose. So I'm going to be explaining some very simple principles using this game, and it's going to be based on something that a personality in the StarCraft universe called Day9 has used to explain StarCraft 2 strategy. And he says that there is economy, there is army, and there is technology when spending your resources, and I'm going to explain what that means in the game. So let's jump in. So you're provided with six worker units to begin with. I'm actually making 6 with my hands. I don't know why you can't see that. Yeah, so here are these 6 workers, and they're going to be gathering some minerals. So with this income, I can invest this in economy, I can invest it in army, I can invest it in technology. So I'm going to initially invest it in economy. So this means producing more workers, more of these worker units, so that I can mine more efficiently. I can mine, or not more efficiently, I can mine at a faster rate. You can actually mine less efficiently, but that's for another day. That's a fact. Anyway, so you have to build a pylon once you reach 9 or 10 supply, and that's because there's a limited number of units you can control at one time, and pylons increase the number of units you can control at one time. Simple. Yeah, so instead of investing in these worker units, you can also invest in a new base, and that's also investing in economy. So you can expand here, you can build another base, and that increases the number of minerals you can mine from, so that's increasing the maximum number of workers that can mine efficiently. Very good. Okay, so now I'm going to invest in some technology. So any good strategy is a mixture of investing in economy, technology, and army, unless you're doing some sort of rushy build which just invests in army immediately, like something called a 6 pool, where if you're a Zerg, you only build units straight up. No army. No economy. Alright. So I'm going to need another pylon soon, so I'm running out of supply here. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate this principle of economy, army, technology, I'm going to keep repeating that so that it sinks in. To demonstrate this principle, I am going to do a very simple build which relies on me getting a technologically advanced army over my opponent, and using that and exploiting that advantage to push and win a game. So I'm producing a Zealot. This unit is producing structure called the Gateway, and the Zealot is a very low tier unit. It doesn't require any gas, and gas usually means the units that you produce are going to be quite advanced. And it actually requires only minerals, this one, and doesn't require any tech other than this gateway. So I'm producing my Zealot. I'm going to produce some more units. So this unit I'm producing here, it's called the Stalker. It requires a little bit of gas, but the only technology it requires is the cybernetics core, which you need for any decent Protoss strategy. So that isn't really considered a technologically advanced unit, because you need the structure. You're not going out of your way to produce it. But now I am actually going to produce something weird. This is a robotics facility. So over the course of longer games, you're always going to be getting this. But getting it this early is a bit rare, and it means that you're going to be trying to exploit a technology advantage over your opponent. So I'm going to be producing a unit out of this called the Immortal, which my opponent will not be able to produce because he hasn't probably invested the gas in it. So I'm going to be adding a couple more gates. A couple more gateways, just because I can afford it, and it it backs up my high tier units, my very advanced units, the immortal, very well. Because when you produce units like this and you're relying on units like this, you want some units to back it up so it's not being attacked. You want some meat shields in there. So I'm producing my immortal. Something specific to Protoss is you can use this ability called the Chrono Boost, which speeds up the production of things. And the strategy behind that is the thing that's going to give you advantage. You're going to make train faster, so that it's going to give you an even better advantage because you're going to get it even earlier. So if I was relying on an economy advantage, if I'd expanded, if I was producing lots of workers, then what I'd do is I'd be chrono boosting the workers instead of this. So I'm just going to wait for a couple of these. Well, I think 3. I think 3 is a good number. And I'm going to push out with that, so I highly doubt my opponent's going to have a big enough army to defend from 3 whole immortals. So that's quite a substantial amount. Because they're very big now, with very big hitters. If you understand the significance of these numbers, they deal 50 damage versus armoured, which is really high. So consider this one units, which isn't considered an armoured unit. It has 160 HP, so only 4 hits will kill it. So that's quite big, quite a big thing. So I have my 3 immortals. I'll make an observer as well. It's just a unit and a helpful units that most builds are going to be producing, because it helps you see invisible things, which is a reason why you want to chrono boost out these immortals, because most players are going to be getting the robot at some point in the game, this robotics facility, so you want to get the units out of it as quickly as possible so you know that you're going to have an advantage. So let's move in, let's move on in. And there's Stalkers there! Oh my god, I wasn't expecting that! So, Stalkers are one of the primary units that Protoss like to make in the early game because they're very fast and they're very, they're very agile. But then these immortals do so much damage to it, it's going to give me a big advantage in the game. I wasn't expecting this many Stalkers, to be fair, but yes, look how much damage, they just melt away, these guys. And, oh, that's not one-sided. Well, yeah, I didn't control those very well at all, but even if I was playing against a competent player, then yeah, it wouldn't fare well against what I'm doing here. So you want to focus down the armoured units, which are the Stalkers. Zealots aren't considered armoured, so they don't die as quickly. And yes, and that's game. So this has demonstrated everything I wanted it to demonstrate. You want to, in any game of StarCraft, you want to exploit technology, economy, or army. And it usually comes down to, well, when you invest in economy or technology, that usually makes your army better. So usually at some point in the game you're going to be exploiting army. So it's up to you whether you want to exploit technology and economy as well. I'm explaining this badly, but you know, it was going well up to now. I'm going to show you exploiting economy also, because some people might not know what that means, what that involves. Okay, so welcome back. Thanks to that fantastic editing, you've jumped quickly from one game to this lobby. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, I'll explain what you're seeing again. This is exactly the same setup. I'm actually on the same map, so I'm just going to keep everything the same. And what I'm going to be doing this time is I'm going to be exploiting an economy advantage, which you'll see a lot of pro players trying to do. They'll be expanding very quickly. They'll be getting lots of workers, and yeah, they'll be going into very long games, because the best way to exploit an economy advantage is to take it into a very long game, because the longer the game, the more helpful a better income is going to be. So let's jump in. But I'm not going to make this long because that's just going to be annoying for everyone involved. I'll just expand once, and I'll give everyone a taste. So, what are the benefits of getting a better income? I'm going to have a lot more minerals than my opponent. That's the main one. In the early game, that's the main one. So what can more minerals give us? We can afford defences, we can afford static defences, and we can afford more low tier units. And that's where our advantage is going to be. We're going to have more units. if we were staying on one base, if we weren't investing in economy, we were investing in technology to even greater extent than I was in that last game, then what we were exploiting is our gas. We were exploiting an advantage in gas. If our opponent had expanded, he's going to have more minerals than us, he's going to have a bigger army. We're going to have more gas because we started it straight away, and our army is going to have more gas invested in it, so our army is going to be more advanced than our opponents, but more small, you see? So there are advantages to both ways of thinking, and it just depends how you control your units at that point, whether your composition is better suited for the engagement than your opponent's army is. So I'm going to build my gateways as before, and the gateway comes in. So this is very normal. You can, against other races, against Terran, you can often get away with just expanding off the bat, because the only thing they can have against you is Marines, and Marines don't do huge amounts of damage. And in fact, probes are pretty damn good at dealing with Marines if you control them properly. And probes are the little worker guys. Look how cute they are. Look how cute they are. I don't know if you can hear them speak, but they sort of go wee. I can't hear it, but I know everything's louder everything's louder on the video. So I'm getting a little bit of gas, and I'm getting a little bit of gas because I want to get those stalker units, those armored ones, out, and I want that out because it's very good at defending, because it's very fast and it can jump between your bases, especially against Terrans. So this isn't a build that you'd actually want to use against another player in this matchup, the matchup being Protoss versus Protoss, because expansions are very hard to get away with, though they are absolutely possible. So I'm going to get the Stalker. So the Stalker against the Terran is going to be very useful, because you can run up to your opponent's base. If they push out, Stalkers are faster than most Terran units are to begin with, so they can attack, they can run away, regenerate some shield, as Protoss can do that, and they can move in again and attack a little bit more, so they can stop attacks using that very simple principle. So now I'm going to throw down my expansion as I'm waiting for just as my second Stalker queues up. So the expansion comes down, so now I'm going to begin probes again, because I cut probes a little bit to get that expansion out. So now I can begin my probes again. Chrono Boost is going on to the probes because I want to exploit my economy advantage. Sorry for messing that up. Yeah, so don't really want to be pushing out. It's often the guys is to take these watchtowers, however, because they give you a view of when things are coming your way to attack you, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to confuse anyone. So now I'm going to add on a couple more gateways. So even when you're investing in army, like you saw, investing in economy, like you saw in that last game, someone investing in technology or army can really bring on some serious pain to you. So you're going to want some interesting ways to defend that, and one way to defend that is by getting a unit which gives you a defender's advantage, such as the Mothership Core. And this specific unit, there we go, gives you a defender's advantage by energizing a nexus, which are these structures, and gives them a weapon, a very powerful weapon, which can help defend itself. Hopefully my speech will come back to its standard in the last game. So now look at this economy. My economy is improving greatly. Oh, whoops. It's transferred down. And you see I have 16 on probes. 16 probes on each base, mining minerals. That's because the most efficient number is 2 per mineral patch. You can have 3, but then they sort of get in each other's way. So the most efficient is 2, which gives you an advantage over a 1-basing player, because your probes are going to be mining more efficiently than your opponent's probes. So I've done this crazy thing called a supply block where you don't have enough pylons to support the number of units you have, so you can't build for a little while, because I'm silly. So now my mothership core has the ability, it has the photon overcharge, which gives the Nexus a cannon, but my opponent isn't attacking, which is good. It's good to have the option to make that into a massive cannon and help defend yourself. Another thing you can do is you can scout what your opponent's doing. You can send a probe early game into your opponent's base and see what's going on. And that gives you an idea of how much technology, how much army, how much economy they're investing in, and gives you an idea of how many defences you need. It's a good idea to always get this because this is useful not just for defending, so you don't have to. It's not just limited for that one job. But if I was to produce a forge, which is this here structure, I'll just make it just so you can see it. I can build defences. So these cannons, which I don't know if you can actually see the picture, but they're there. You can build those here, and they shoot things, and they do a lot of damage. Not so useful in this matchup, but in other matchups especially, they're very useful for defending. And because you have all these extra minerals from your investment in economy, you can afford to build those without greatly limiting the size of your army. So now I have all this money. So what do I do with it? I'm going to have to make a lot of units. I'm going to have to make a lot of units because I don't have as much gas because I had to delay that. Which means that if I have a lot of units, upgrades are going to be very good because one upgrade is going to be affecting loads of units. And an upgrade is where you pay some money, it resets for an amount of time, you can chrono boost it to make it go faster if you want, and it gives all of these a boost in power. So yeah, I'm investing in army now, and I'm going to be exploiting this advantage I have over my opponents. Assuming that he didn't expand. He probably did actually, because that's the thing he was going for last game. But let's assume he didn't. And now I'm upgrading all of my units, giving them abilities, because I have lots of them and they're going to be benefiting from it really nicely. And this one, in fact, is called Blink. That one's called Blink, that upgrade. And it gives these stalkers the ability to teleport short distances, which doesn't sound amazing, but if you think about it, imagine one unit being hit, focused down by an army. You can jump that guy back to the back of your army, and then they're going to have to switch target. So it's going to take much longer time for them to kill all of your army because the injured ones are going to be jumping away and recharging their shields. So this is a big army I've got now. I think I should move out now to try and do some damage, so that I get there when maybe Blink finishes. But that's not going to happen. I actually moved that too fast. This is a very small map as well. Got to keep those pylons coming. Disadvantage of doing this is because of your big army. Yeah, you're going to need lots of pylons to account for it. But that's not much. You have all those minerals anyway, so that's not going to affect you too badly. So these here sentries, they also give you a defender's advantage like the mothership core. And they make little force fields which can keep units away from your base so that you can defend it more easily. But just like the mothership core, it can also be used aggressively, and I'm going to show you how. Let's have a look. So I have my blink. Oh, actually I don't have blink. Oh no, I thought I had blink. Oh, I'm disappointed. So I can make little force fields and it keeps the bulk of your army away, so that their army isn't attacking but yours is. And another thing that the mothership core can do is, as well as energizing the Nexus to give it a weapon, you can also slow down the movement speed of your opponent's units. So now I'm going to blink away some of my stalkers so they don't die. Like that. Kill them away to the back of your army. Look, I've killed him! Yay! And in this case, I wasn't really exploiting the advantage. If I was against a player who didn't go for army, I didn't go for economy, I'd be exploiting my advantage because I had more units than him, quite simply. But in this case, he went for an army advantage as well. He went for an economy advantage as well, and he had a similar sized army to me. In this case, it was just I controlled my units better. I had a better control over my units, and that gave me the edge in the fight. So that gives extra depth to any game of StarCraft. Skill can make a huge difference in the game. And I make some force fields to trap these units so they can't get out. I love force fields, they're great. It's a great spell. So this has demonstrated everything I wanted to from this video. I've demonstrated trying to take a tech advantage, trying to take a economy advantage. I don't want to show trying to take an army advantage because it's just not helpful. That's just where for Protoss it would be you produce 2 of these with only maybe 10 probes, and you just rally these guys, and you just rally these guys, these zealots, those melee guys. So that's not a very good strategy to use. That's called cheese. So yes, hope you learned something from that. Hope I explained it alright. I know I stumble over myself a little bit, but stumbled over my words as I do it. But yes, I'll see you next time. I might make another one of these demonstrating something else, maybe such as positioning, so that'll be more interesting for more advanced players. I'll see you later. Hope you enjoyed that. Goodbye.